Are you a coder or an engineer? Do you know the difference? A coder writes code, an engineer solves problems. A coder completes tickets, an engineer owns outcomes from start to finish. A coder works alone, an engineer influences and elevates the entire team. Here's the truth about a career in tech. Being a great coder is not enough to get you promoted or help you reach your career goals. Hi, I am Vinay Bansal, working as engineering manager at Google. As an engineering manager, I've seen hundreds of performance reviews. I can tell you that the reason most careers stall has nothing to do with technical skills. It's a series of predictable traps. In this video, I'm sharing the 5 most damaging mistakes I see engineers make, and I'll give you the exact no-nonsense fixes for each of them. Alright, let's get straight into it. The first 2 traps are about your core job. They are about what you work on and how you deliver it. Getting these wrongs is like building a skyscraper on a weak foundation. It doesn't matter how brilliant you are, eventually things will start to wobble. The first mistake I see, and this one is huge, is focusing only on the how and completely ignoring the why. I call this feature factory trap. It looks like this. You get a ticket in Jira or whatever system you use. The ticket says, build a blue button on the checkout page. So what do? You go and build the best, most elegant, most perfectly coded blue button the world has ever seen. The code is clean, the unit tests are perfect. You ship it, close the ticket, and immediately grab the next one. You feel productive, you're closing tickets, you're shipping code. But from a manager's perspective, you're just a pair of hands. Let me be blunt, you're not a problem solver yet. You're an instruction follower. And this is a massive career blocker. Why? Because if you only focus on the how part, you can only be given well-defined tasks. Your manager can't trust you with the messy, ambiguous problem. And those problems are the ones that start with our user engagement is down or our latency is too high. That is where the growth is. That's where the impact is, and that's where the promotions are. If you're only a task taker, you have put your own ceiling on your own career. You will cap out at senior engineer, period. So how do you fix this? It's actually very simple. It starts with one word, why. Before you write a single line of code on your next ticket, I want you to go to your product manager or tech lead and ask them 2 simple questions. Question 1, what customer problems are we trying to solve here? Question 2, what business metrics are we hoping to move with this? Listen to the answers and really understand them. And take it one step further. Before you start coding, spend 15 minutes trying to find out the data yourself. Look at the analytics dashboard. Find the user feedback ticket. When you come to the discussions with not just questions but also some initial data, you are no longer just an engineer. You are a partner in solving the problem. This is an incredibly powerful and proactive step that only a few engineers take. Because now you know the impact of that button, and that changes how you talk about your work. When it's time for your performance review or when you're making case for your promotion, you don't just say I closed 5 tickets and built a blue button. Instead you say, my work on the new checkout flow directly contributed to a 2% increase in user conversion. You see the difference? Same work, completely different impact. The first statement describes a task. The second one describes a business result. And that is how you speak the language of leadership. And sometimes when you truly understand the why, you might even realize a blue button is the wrong solution. Maybe a simple text link would perform better. Bringing that insight to your team, that's the difference between a coder and an engineer. This is how you demonstrate impact, and this is how you get promoted. Okay, so you're focusing on the why. Fantastic. But that leads us directly to the second major execution trap, and that is ignoring the full life cycle of your work. I call this the boring work trap. You know this engineer. Maybe you are this engineer. This is a person who believes their job is done the moment their pull request gets merged. They love writing new shiny features. but they hate everything else that comes with it. Documentation? Someone else will get to it. Writing through integration tests, it works on my machine. Being on call? I really hope I don't get paged this week. They see their job as only the fun part, the initial coding. Look, let me be very direct. When I see this pattern in performance reviews, it's a huge red flag. Why? Because you're not actually finishing the job, you're just handing off a box of problems to your future self, or even worse, to rest of the team. Code without good documentation is a ticking time bomb. A feature without robust tests is a future outage waiting to happen. When you ship work like this, you're not an asset, you're creating technical debt. You are creating future stress and burnout for your teammates. At top tech companies like Google or Meta, we don't hire people to just write code. We hire engineers to own problems from start to finish. That means from the initial idea to the design doc to the code to production support, all the way to eventually turning it off. This is non-negotiable for senior roles. The fix here isn't a new tool, it's a mindset shift. You need to adopt an owner's mindset. Think of it this way. The code you write today is something you will have to debug 3 a.m. in the morning 6 months from now. So do your future self a favor. Start with this. The next time you are on call, don't just see it as a chore. See it as a feedback loop on the quality of your team's work. What's breaking? Why are the alerts confusing? That's a goldmine of information you can use to make the system better. And for documentation, write the doc you wish you had when you first joined the team. If it's clear to a brand new person, then it's a great documentation. When you truly start owning the entire life cycle, you become one of the most reliable and trusted person in the team. And believe me, as a manager, that is exactly the person who we look for when it's time to hand out more responsibility and bigger projects. Avoiding these first two traps means you are delivering great work, but great work alone won't get you from staff to lead. For that, you need to expand your influence, and that starts by avoiding the next two strategic mistakes. Mistake number 3 is a critical one. It's failing to strategically manage your own growth. This mistake shows up as two extremes. Think of it as a spectrum and you want to be right in the middle. On one end of the spectrum, you have the engineer who is always chasing the hottest, newest technology. They hear about a new framework and immediately want to use it on a new project. This is often a form of resume-driven development. The goal isn't really to solve the business problem in the simplest, most stable way. It's to add a new buzzword to their skill list. On the other far end of the spectrum, you have the engineer who stays firmly inside their comfort zone. They are an expert in one specific area and they never leave. When one big, messy, ambiguous problem comes up, the kind with no clear solution, they step back and wait for someone else to volunteer. From my experience leading engineering teams, both of these extremes are red flags. They seem like opposites, but they both show a lack of strategic judgment. The first engineer prioritizes their personal resume over company's need for stable, maintainable system, and the second engineer, they show that they are risk averse and aren't willing to tackle the team's most important and challenging problems. And let me be crystal clear, the hard, messy, ambiguous problems are the entire job at the staff and principal levels. You are paid to create clarity from chaos. If you actively avoid that, you are choosing to stall your own career. The fix is to be deliberate. First, master your fundamentals. Become a true expert in the core technologies your team uses every day and build your foundation of trust and credibility. Then, once you have a solid base, you go to your manager and say this exact sentence. I want to take on a project that makes me uncomfortable. Give me the most ambiguous problem you have right now that is critical to the business. Trust me, your manager has a list of these problems. When you ask for one, you are signaling that you are ready for the next level. This mindset is the single biggest key to getting promoted. I have a whole other video where I cover this promotion process in detail and I'll link it for you in description below. Okay, so you are tackling ambiguous projects. You're growing, but you quickly realize that the biggest, most important projects are never done alone. And that brings us to mistake number 4, working in a silo. This is the heads down engineer. They are often a fantastic coder. They get their work done and they communicate well with their 3 or 4 people in their immediate team. But their professional world is a tiny box. They don't even know the product manager of the team that sends them data. They've never had a real conversation with the tech lead of the service that consumes their API. Why is this a career killer? Because in any top tech company, all high impact work is a cross-functional work. It involves multiple teams, multiple PMs and multiple stakeholders. If you stay in your silo, you simply cannot lead these projects. You have no social capital, you have no allies when you need to convince another team to change their API. You have no context when you're trying to debug a complex cross-team issue. Your scope, the primary measurement of your impact, is permanently limited by boundaries of your own team. You cannot get promoted to a senior leadership role if you can't influence people outside your direct reporting line. The fix for this is tactical, and you can start doing it tomorrow. I call it mapping your dependencies. Open a notebook. Identify the 3 or 5 people outside your immediate team who you either depend on or who depends on you. This could be an engineer, an upstream team, a PM for downstream team, a designer, anyone. Now, here's the task. This week, send each of them a simple message. Say, hey, our teams work together a lot. I would love to grab 30 minutes to learn more about your team's goal and challenges. Now in that chat, your only job is to listen. Ask them, what's your team's biggest pain point right now? How can my team make your life easier? You do this with just a few people and I guarantee you, you will have more context than 90% of engineers in your organization. You'll stop being a coder and start becoming a connector. And connectors are the ones who truly lead. So we have covered execution, growth and scope. But this final mistake is the most crucial one. You can be a brilliant, well-connected engineer, but if you get this wrong, I guarantee you will hit a career ceiling. Mistake number 5 is failing your own communication. Just like the last point, this mistake also has 2 sides and I see both of them constantly. The first part is being reactive instead of proactive. I call this being a black hole. Information goes in, but nothing comes out. Your manager or your teammates have to constantly pull updates from you. They're always asking, hey, what's the status update on this feature? Are we still on track? Did you figure out that bug yet? You are working heads down, which is fine. But you don't announce you're blocked until the deadline is missed. You go dark for days at times and your team just has to hope you are making progress. The second part of this trap is being unclear. This is about quality of your communication, especially your writing. Your design documents are a long stream of consciousness with no clear recommendation. Your pull request descriptions are empty, leaving your reviewers to guess the context. Your emails are vague and rambling. Let me explain exactly why this is ultimate career killer. If you are reactive, you create uncertainty and you drain your manager's time and energy. See, my job as manager is to clear roadblocks and manage risk for the team. If I have to spend half of my time chasing you for basic status updates, I can't do my real job. You become a high maintenance engineer and that is not the label you want. And if your writing is unclear, it's even worse. You cannot scale your ideas. At the senior levels in tech, your influence is directly tied to how well you can articulate a complex idea to a broad audience. Your writing is your thinking made visible. A great idea trapped in a confusing design doc will never get approved. A brilliant technical solution with a sloppy PR description will just introduce bugs. It's that simple. So, how do you fix this? It's a 2-part solution. First, to stop being reactive, you need to live by no surprises rule. Your goal should be that your manager or your teammates never have to ask you for status updates because you have already told them. At the end of each day, or at least a couple of days, Send a quick bullet point summary. Here's what I did. Here's what I'm doing tomorrow. Here are all of my blockers. This takes 5 minutes and it builds immense trust. Second, to fix unclear writing, you need to treat your documents with the same rigor as your code. Your code gets a review, right? Your design doc should too. Before you send your doc to a big group, send it to 1 or 2 trusted colleagues and ask them one simple question. Is this clear? Use templates, use headings, put your recommendation right at the top. Make it easy for someone to understand your main point in 30 seconds. When you master both proactive and clear communication, you stop being just a contributor, you become an influencer. And that is a final key to unblocking your career growth. So let's bring it all together. The theme through all these mistakes is the shift from being a coder to being an owner. Coders write code, owners solve business problems and deliver impact. That is a mindset that gets you to the next level. Don't try to fix everything at once. Pick one mistake from the mistake that hits closest to home, just one, and make a concrete plan to start working on it this week. Let me know in the comments which one you're going to focus on. I read and reply to all of them. If you got value from this video and want more practical advice on your tech career, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.